The Falaise Pocket was the last major battle in Normandy, sealing the fate of German armed forces on the Western Front. The Allied landing of Normandy happened on June 6, 1944, with American and British forces making up the majority of the strength with the help from French, Polish, Czechoslovakian, and Australia. The Allies were able to land on the beaches and started their push into France immediately. There was fierce fighting by the Germans as they tried to halt the advancing Allied forces. Throughout the months of June and July, the Allied armies rapidly advanced through France, the German forces were under-strengthened and on the decline. The Allies launched Operation Cobra on July 25th, with the First Army launching a major attack against the German Seventh Army. With the weight of the assault, the German lines started to collapse. By the 28th, the majority of the German Seventh Army had collapsed and was on the retreat, though they launched a few counterattacks that failed to stop the Allied armies. Between 1 to 4 of August patterns, Third Army rapidly advanced through Avranches and over the bridge at Pontaubault into Brittany. On August 8th, the Americans had captured the city of Le Mans, which was the Seventh Army's former headquarters. Allied ground forces Commander General Bernard Montgomery ordered the Allied armies to converge onto the Falaise-Chambois area to encircle the German Army Group B. The First U.S. Army formed the southern arm. The British were the base, and the Canadians were the northern arm of the encirclement. The Allies launched Operation Tractable on the 12th of August, with the U.S. 5th Armored Division of the 15th Corps advancing 35 miles, reaching overlooking positions over Argenton. But on the 13th, Omar Bradley overruled orders of Patton to continue the attack towards Falaise, and instead withdraw forces which left an exit for the Germans to continue to escape from. After this, the American forces then engaged with Panzer Group Eberbach, the British pushing from the northwest the 1st Canadian Army, which included the Polish 1st Armored Division, were ordered to close the pocket. The 2nd Canadian Infantry Division had limited attack down the Lys Valley on the 12th to 13th of August. On the 14th at 11:42, with a smoke screen, the 4th Canadian Armored Division and the 1st Polish Armored Division crossed the liaison, but delays at the river dives let the Tiger tanks from the Schwer SS Panzer Abteilung 102 to counterattack. The 1st Canadian Army used yellow smoke to identify their positions, which was the same color strategic bombers used to mark targets, which lead to some Canadians being bombed by friendly planes, slowing their advancement more. On the 15th, the 2nd, 3rd Canadian Infantry Divisions and the 2nd Canadian Armored Brigade continued the assault, but their progress remained slow. The 4th Armored Division captured Soulangy against heavy German resistance and multiple counterattacks, which prevented a breakthrough to Trun. On the 16th, the 2nd Canadian Infantry Division entered Falaise against limited opposition from Waffen-SS units and scattered pockets of German infantry, and by the 17th, the town was fully secured. On the day before, at midday, the commander of the Western Front, Gunther von Kluge, had refused an order from Hitler for another counterattack, and in the afternoon of the same day, Hitler agreed to the withdrawal, but became suspicious that Kluge was planning to surrender to the Allies. In the evening of August 17th, Hitler removed Kluge from command and recalled him to Germany. Kluge then committed suicide with cyanide, fearing punishment for his involvement on the 20th July plot to kill Hitler. With his death, he was succeeded by Field Marshal Walter Model, and which his first order was the immediate retreat of the 7th Army and the 5th Panzer Army, while the 2nd SS Panzer Corps, with the remnants of 4 other panzer divisions, held the northern face of the escape route against British/Canadian forces, while the 47th Panzer Corps, with the remains of 2 panzer divisions, would hold the southern face against the American forces. During the retreat, German columns were constantly being attacked by Allied fighter bombers of the U.S. 9th Air Force and the RAF 2nd Tactical Air Force. There were claims of large numbers of tanks, and other vehicles were destroyed from the air, but a post-battle investigation showed that about 11 armored vehicles could be proven to have been destroyed by planes. Though about 1/3 of wrecked trucks were lost to air attacks, and many others had been abandoned by their crew due to the air threat. By the 17th, the encirclement was still incomplete, with Allied forces tightening the hold over the small gaps left. The remaining German forces were in a rectangle 6 miles deep and 7 miles wide, packed in and exposed to constant Allied artillery and air attacks. By the 18th, there was a week-long continuous bombardment in the pocket. Despite the intensity of the Allied bombardments, the German units inside of the pocket were able to maintain a degree of cohesion, largely because most of the command staff and headquarters elements stayed inside the pocket and were able to exercise authority directly. The 1st Polish Armored Division divided into 3 battle groups and were sent to meet up with the Americans at the town of Chambois. By the 19th, the Polish battle groups advanced onto Chambois. With the support of the 4th Canadian Armored Division, they reached Chambois, linking up with the U.S. 90th and the French 2nd Armored Division by the end of the day. The pocket was fully cut off by the 19th, but the Allies didn't have it strengthened yet. In response, Lieutenant General Wilhelm Bietrich ordered the 2nd SS Panzer Division to relieve the German-held Vimoutiers to the east. The 2nd SS Panzer Division was able to re-establish communication with German forces in the pocket, allowing several thousand troops to escape from being destroyed in the pocket. Another breakout happened when an armored column from the 2nd Panzer Division broke through the Canadian lines in Saint-Lambert. They captured half of the village and kept the road open for 6 hours until nightfall, allowing many more Germans to escape. Small groups of Germans escaped through the dives during the night. After Polish troops captured Chambois, they moved northeast and occupied part of the strategic hill 262, spending the night of the 19th digging in. On the morning of the 20th, Walter Model ordered elements of the 2nd SS Panzer Division and the 9th SS Panzer Division to attack the Polish positions. Around midday, several units from the 10th SS Panzer Division, 12th SS Panzer, and 116th Panzer Division breaking out through the Polish positions, opening a corridor, while the 9th SS Panzer Division prevented the Canadians from intervening with the breakout. By the afternoon, about 10,000 German troops had escaped through the corridor. Paul Hauser, the 7th Army commander, ordered that the Polish positions be eliminated. Remnants of the 352nd Infantry Division and several battle groups from the 2nd SS Panzer Division inflicted heavy casualties on the Polish 8th and 9th Battalions of the Polish Division, but the assault was repulsed at the cost of almost all of their ammunition. The Polish units watched as the remnants of the 47th Panzer Corps escaped. There was fighting throughout the night. The next morning, the Germans continued their attacks, but all failed, with the last attack happening at around 11 o'clock. The final attempt to take the Polish position was launched with nearby SS troops, which were defeated in close combat with the Polish. Approximately 20,000 to 50,000 German troops, almost all without their heavy equipment, managed to escape from the pocket. The final stretch of the escape of German forces were forced to cross the Dives River to the east. On the evening of the 21st of August, tanks from the 4th Canadian Armored Division linked up with Polish forces at Coudenhard. At the same time, the 2nd and 3rd Canadian Infantry Divisions secured Saint-Lambert, and the northern passage to Chambois, the Pact, had been sealed. By the 22nd of August, all German forces were dead or in Allied captivity. The Germans had lost 9 total divisions that were completely destroyed. 6 of them were reformed into Volksgrenadier divisions, with the remnants of the divisions, and 4 other divisions were heavily damaged and needed to be completely refitted. After the battle, there were thousands of dead bodies and animal carcasses, and in the hot August weather, the bodies started to decompose. The Allies declared the area a health hazard and left the battlefield untouched up until November. There were an estimated 60,000 casualties. On the German side, 10,000 were killed and 50,000 were captured.